Well, thank you for joining me again in episode number 7. One of the purposes of this series on the Antichrist is to introduce some clarity and sanity into the current cultural fascination with the biblical figure known as the capital A Antichrist. Our examination of various theories regarding his person and characteristics aims to dispel false ideas as well as to identify reliable information from the Bible. In this episode, let's address yet another theory regarding the Antichrist, namely the theory that he will be a celibate, in other words, a man who has chosen to refrain from all sexual activity. Perhaps by now you are noticing a pattern. Many of the theories regarding Antichrist and what he will be like are based on Daniel chapter 11, verses 37 and 38. The theory that the Antichrist will be a celibate is no different. How does this idea arise from the biblical text? As we again look at these two verses, see if you notice anything that would suggest that the Antichrist will abstain from sex. He shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above them all. But in their place he shall honor a god of fortresses, and a god which his fathers did not know he shall honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things. Did you catch it? Listen again. He shall regard neither the God of his fathers nor the desire of women. That's the key phrase. It seems to suggest that the Antichrist will have it states that the Antichrist will have no regard for, quote, the desire of women. Now, some scholars have seized on this last phrase, the desire of women, as evidence of an unusual characteristic of the Antichrist. Now, it's no secret that powerful men, especially men who are powerful in a political sense, often have an unusual hunger for women. In past history, kings often had harems. In modern times, rulers are well known for womanizing. Many have been the presidents and prime ministers whose careers have been stained by rumors and by proof of extramarital affairs. It seems that the love of power is often accompanied by an unusual appetite for sex. Yet Daniel chapter 11 verse 37 states that the Antichrist will have no regard for the desire of women. Does this mean that he will be a celibate? That argument is difficult to prove, because in Hebrew, as in English, the construction, the A of B, can have multiple meanings. The phrase, the desire of women, can mean the desire for women, as in sexual appetite, but it can also mean the thing which women desire. Let's consider some possible interpretations that arise from this second option. One possible interpretation is that the thing which women desire is the Messiah himself. If that is the case, then verse 11 could be paraphrased as follows: he shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor Israel's Messiah, nor regard any god. Such a paraphrase is certainly plausible in context, and it would fit well if the Antichrist were to be a Jew. But why should we think that the thing which women desire is the Messiah? This idea is based on the claim that every Jewish woman dreamed that her son would grow up to be the Messiah. You may have heard this idea before. But does this claim really make sense? I don't think so. Because ancient biblical prophecy going all the way back to Genesis chapter 49 indicates that the Messiah must come from the tribe of Judah and no other tribe. That means that the only Jewish women who could dream of giving birth to Messiah were women within the tribe of Judah. So I think we can rule out this interpretation. Others have suggested that the thing which women desire is a reference to Tammuz or Adonis, pagan deities which were worshipped especially by women at the time when Daniel wrote. This option is hard to rule out, but it appears unlikely since the worship of those ancient deities seems to already be a thing of the past. Let's briefly consider one more approach to the prediction that the Antichrist, quote, will have no regard for the desire of women. Could it be that this phrase indicates neither that the Antichrist will be a celibate, nor that he refuses to worship what women worship, but rather that the Antichrist will use and then discard women with an utter disregard for their feelings? This too seems to be a viable option, and it has plenty of precedents in human history. In the end, I find the theory that says that the Antichrist will be a celibate to be unconvincing. It's based on a single phrase in Scripture, and that phrase allows multiple possible interpretations. Now, before we conclude this episode, let's note briefly in passing one other theory that has been proposed based on this same phrase, the phrase that the Antichrist will not regard the desire of women. This theory says that the Antichrist will be a homosexual because he will have no interest in women. Like other theories that are based upon that one phrase, this one is impossible to prove and also impossible to rule out. I think we would be unwise to give this theory much credibility. In our next episode, episode number 8, we will consider yet another theory regarding the identity of the Antichrist. This one is based not on specific statements of Scripture, but rather upon similarities between the biblically predicted career of the Antichrist and a figure from prophecy in another religion. This theory claims that the Antichrist will be a Muslim. I think you'll find that theory very interesting. I hope to see you in episode number 8, Lord willing.